Oh, this is pretty weird. So I was here at the gate of the prison and an old lady came to me, old Sri Lankan lady, and with gestures she explained to me that her son was in prison and she didn't have any money, so she asked for money. I gave her a bit of money and her answer was, her reply was "Dankjewel," which is actually in Dutch, but other than that she didn't speak any foreign language. So here's the beautiful entry to the National Museum of Sri Lanka, and look at the exhibition. Public exhibition in celebration of the return of artifacts stolen from Sri Lanka during the period of Dutch occupation from the 5th of December onward. So basically what the Dutch stole from Sri Lanka came back, and here it is in an exhibition. In the middle of the bustling city of Colombo, in a very busy street, there's a building that stands out with white columns. And this is actually the Dutch Museum of Colombo. It's currently being renovated and it's closed. There's no way to enter it. There's no sign saying when it will be open. So let's see if I can reach it. Here it is. Some signs. And that's it. Closed for public at the moment. Nothing to see here, except the building itself, of course. The entrance is pretty much blocked by tuk-tuks. Tuk-tuks everywhere. So this is what remains of the old fort, the old Dutch fort in Colombo. There's an old lighthouse here, and other than that there's government buildings, expensive hotels, and well, generally not much to see. So this is it. That's all there is to it, the old fort of Colombo. When I first heard about this place, I had to laugh so hard, because this, ladies and gentlemen, is Bloemendaal. Let me show you what it looks like. It's basically a garbage heap with slums on it. People actually live here. The irony is that Bloemendaal is a Dutch name, and it is the name of a town, the most affluent town in the Netherlands. If you are very rich in the Netherlands, then you want to be in Bloemendaal. Not this Bloemendaal, the other Bloemendaal. How is that? And someone told me I had to laugh so hard, and the guy in Sri Lanka that told me had to laugh also, because he had no clue that there's a very nice place in the Netherlands that has the same name. So, welcome to Bloemendaal. So, this is morning now. I'm wearing heavy boots and long trousers, which is not ideal in this weather, but that's because this is actually my means of transportation, and so I'm driving around by myself on the roads in Sri Lanka, and well, people said I was crazy to do that because the traffic is chaotic and dangerous, and but for me it's okay. I'm very much used to traveling with a motorbike. So once you get used to the flow of traffic here, it's okay. But it is total chaos, and people drive like crazy. So here we are at the main gate of the Dutch fort in Gale. Looks a bit like this. So it's a world, it's designated by the UN as World Heritage, and it's basically a walled town. So we can go and have a look inside. Now here's something that I've often seen in Dutch forts. It's this. This is where the gates would come down. See, it goes all the way up, and they close it down very quickly with this. Here's another one. There are two actually. So this is really very heavily fortified. So I'm on the walls of the fort now. Behind me you can see the town that is basically what is in the fort. And if I make a turn around, there you see the water. It's the port of Gale. And you turn further and then you see the modern town of Gale, where roughly 1 million people live. And this way you can understand why this spot was so important, because it was important for centuries before the Dutch came. And before the Dutch there were the Portuguese, but yeah, because the water here is kind of a natural port. You can actually see a boat there anchoring. So yeah, it was a very important spot for many centuries, and when the Dutch came they built this fort after they took over from the Portuguese. So they made these thick walls, we call them wallen in Dutch, and after there behind me you can see the bell tower. and we can take a look inside to see what it looks like now. This is interesting. I found a miniature version of the fort here. Look at this. This is where we're standing now. Here's the main gate, and as you can see, it is basically a small town. And this is the water. This is where the boat is anchoring, where we just looked at, because this was one of the main forts of the Dutch in Sri Lanka. There were many forts actually, but this was the main one because ships would come in here. They could anchor in the bay of Gaul, so that's why it was a very important spot. Bloody Brits again. Look, they call this Queen Street. Hell no! It's Koninginnenweg. This is what it looks like. Here's another view of the fort of Gaul. This is the seaside. So behind me you can see the Indian Ocean. While I turn around, you see here again the bay of Gaul, a lighthouse, and some of the old buildings of the fort. It is beautiful here. It is a wonderful spot. And the Sri Lankan people are very proud of this fort. Rightly so, I think. Because it's not strictly Dutch. I mean, yes, in Holland we used to build fortresses like this, but it is also somehow very much Sri Lanka. This couldn't be anywhere else in the world. Okay, this is also typical for Sri Lanka. Stray dogs. You'll find them everywhere. And but they're not very aggressive. They're nice dogs most of the time. And but you also find monkeys and cows and even elephants, wild elephants in the street. So yeah, that's Sri Lanka. A lot of stray animals. So yeah, these are the walls of the city, of the fort of Gaul. And yes, this was the way these forts were built in the Netherlands. In fact, Amsterdam looked pretty much like this, the walls of Amsterdam back in the day. But they don't exist anymore. But it's funny, when you go to Amsterdam, you go to the red light district, it's called the Wallen. And that's because that's where the old walls were. And here I'm walking on the Wallen of Gaul. But not much red light district here. However, there are lots of Sri Lankan people having fun on the beach. There's no Dutch town without a windmill. And this is where a windmill was that pumped seawater into the city for cleaning. And there's even a few Sri Lankan boys here playing for windmill. A Buddhist temple in a Dutch town with a large stupa. It's beautiful. It appears to be a Buddhist library as well. What a beautiful building. Meditation center. So here's a view that is kind of typical for Sri Lanka today. Here's the Gulf Fort restaurant. And what do we see? At the top we see a Russian sign. And here we see what is probably Chinese sign. So this is the fort of Gaul today. And it's getting gentrified. And rich people are buying properties here, foreign people, but also local people. Okay, let me guess. Russian property? Yeah, probably. Okay, let me guess. Sri Lankan property? Yeah. I would guess this used to be the main administration building with a view on the Bay of Gaul. And here on the left is a Dutch Protestant church, because yeah, there's no Dutch town without a church. And I bet my great grandfather must have sheltered under this same tree. So according to Google Maps, or to the coordinates, this is where an old fort should be. Well, there are a few kids that are very curious. But other than that, there's nothing here.
You know, 15th century, normally we have the cart and horse that time.
Yes.
Then used to this old road. This is our normal road now, the Gold Road, Colombo.
Yeah.
Before this road, the 15th century.
So here?
Yeah, yeah. Because the road went to the like this.
Okay.
You know, normal. Near the sea.
Yes.
Then after erosion, then the government built this one 19th century like.
Yes.
This is an old road in the cart and horse.
So it all disappeared, the rock? Yeah. So there might have been something here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a ruins, you know.
Yes, but this is pretty much everything that's left of it. So there was one here, on this spot. I've seen it in the archives in Holland. But yeah, maybe this
because
was it.
They have the many stories in the Sri Lanka King period.
Yes.
Then have some ruins in history, like 16th or 17th century. Have some war in that area.
Yes.
That's because both sides to pay for the Sri Lankan, the coastline people to the income.
Yes.
The up country, the king, and we also.
Yes.
Our family, I am De Silva. De Silva. Then our generation in the always coastline.
Yes.
The living. Long time they know how can living in the nation. You know, Dutch, Portuguese and Dutch and English. You know.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. So it was always trouble between the Europeans and the King of Candy, right?
Only Candy.
Yes.
But this village area people help for the Dutch or
Yes. Yeah.
they know 300 years continue
Yeah.
living.
Yes.
How can they know it living? Problem.
Yes. So here's the entrance to the fort in Negambo. I'll walk you to it. You can have a look. Behind this is the actual fort, but it has been turned into a prison, no less. So I don't think I'll film there because I don't think the Sri Lankan authorities will appreciate it. But you see the gate there of the prison. Other than that, we have here a church, a British church if I'm not mistaken. St. Stephen's Church, Negombo. St. Stephen's Anglican Church was built on one of the bastions of the Dutch fort. Bloody Brits. They built a church on our fort. So that's it. These are the old walls of the fort, and behind this is old prison. Oh, this is pretty weird. So I was here at the gate of the prison, and an old lady came to me, old Sri Lankan lady, and with gestures she explained to me that her son was in prison and she didn't have any money, so she asked for money. I gave her a bit of money, and her answer was, her reply was "Dankjewel," which is actually in Dutch. But other than that, she didn't speak any foreign language. Weird.